Good afternoon, good evening, and good morning, world. My name is Brian Collins, and I am so pleased to be talking to you today and showcasing the first ever Victoria to Singapore virtual FinTech and RegTech trade mission. This is going to be a really fun event and a really exciting couple of hours. And I'm so pleased to be joined by a variety of incredible ecosystem partners, 7 amazing trade delegates from across Victoria. Now, this has been a long time in the making. Global Victoria, our organizing partner, is in charge of creating and facilitating trade missions all over the globe. But this year has been unlike any other. With COVID-19, it's made international trade delegations extremely hard. So about 7 months ago, Global Victoria came to us with a challenge. How can we facilitate international trade when international travel is impossible? Well, we took a look at the trade mission and really stripped back and looked at what is the real value that we try and get out of trade missions. And when you take everything away, you realize that what you're looking for are incredible ecosystem partners who are looking for opportunities outside of the market that they're currently in, as well as trade delegates who are looking to break into those markets. And so we stripped everything away and we came to what we have here today with the Victoria to Singapore virtual FinTech and RegTech trade mission. So I'm so excited to be showcasing that to you today. What we're going to do and what I'm going to go through in the next few minutes is just a quick rundown on what the event as a whole today is going to look like. We have the welcome and introductions, and congratulations, you can check that off. I've already done that. We have a couple of keynote speakers, Rebecca Hall, the Commissioner for Victoria to Southeast Asia, Global Victoria, and Kui Fei Foong, the Deputy Director for FinTech and the Innovation Group from the Monetary Authority of Singapore. We have a fantastic panel that's going to talk to us more about what the FinTech landscape in Singapore looks like and how they're responding to the challenges of COVID-19 in our world today. And then you're going to hear from the incredible trade delegates who are going to be giving their pitch to the ecosystem partners for the first time. The ecosystem partners will be scoring them, we'll determine the winner, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So thank you all for joining us on the live stream today. And first, I want to thank our 7 incredible delegates who put their trust in us to join this trade mission. Certified by Cinch, Cognitive View, Easy Monitor, Pencil, TickPay, and Z-Score. All of these are Victorian startups and scale-ups focused in the FinTech and RegTech space. All of them are looking to expand beyond the borders of Australia and focus in on APAC. All of them have listed Singapore as a main area of focus that they would like to look at. We also need to thank our ecosystem partners, Visa, ANZ, and Capgemini, who will be joining us for a variety of the different portions of today, including the panel and the pitch competition in just a little bit. For the panel today, we're going to hear from a variety of really fantastic executives across the ecosystem partners, including Kara May Lim, the head of product for Visa Singapore, Shane Marsh and Benjamin Smith. Shane is the head of financial institutions, and Ben is the head of Oz and New Zealand desk for institutional banking, both at ANZ Singapore. And from Capgemini, we're going to hear from Sudhir Pai, who's the Chief Technical and Innovation Officer globally for Capgemini, as well as Stefan Schocker, the Director of Applied Innovation Exchange for Capgemini Singapore. I'm going to be asking them a variety of different questions around where their innovation focuses are, what the key areas for them has been around working with fintechs pre-COVID and post-COVID, and then how the ecosystem in Singapore has responded to the incredible events of this year. After that panel, we're going to officially kick off the pitch competition with our 7 incredible trade delegates. This time, we'll be joined by a smaller group to really focus on the judging. C.E. Lim, the Vice President and the Head of Innovation for Visa APAC. And then Shane, Ben, and Sudhir will join us again for the judging. Could not be more excited. Now, I did mention there's a winner. What are these delegates hoping to win? It's incredible. It's amazing. It is the greatest online badge that anyone has ever been given. And okay, look, it's an online badge, folks. And I'm really excited to be sharing it with them. They'll be able to place it right onto their website and share that they won the pitch competition for this first ever virtual trade mission. But the real goal here, as I mentioned, is to focus on building strong and powerful relationships between trade delegates who are looking to expand into the region and ecosystem partners who are looking for new and unique ways to be able to work with different groups. Now, with all of that said, I would like to officially switch over to our keynote speakers, starting with Rebecca Hall, Commissioner for Victoria to Southeast Asia, Global Victoria. I'll let it pass over to her.
Good morning. I'm Rebecca Hall and I'm the Commissioner for Victoria to Southeast Asia. And it's my pleasure to provide you this welcome message to welcome you to our very first FinTech and RegTech virtual trade mission to Singapore. I'm currently based in Australia, and as is custom and with my deepest respect, I'd like to commence by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land upon which we meet today. And I acknowledge elders past, present and emerging, and elders from community who may be online with us today. To the Victorian businesses, let me say that whilst we may still be physically dispersed, we are virtually connected and share common goals to take Victorian business to the world, and in your context, to use FinTech and RegTech capabilities as a bridge to the world. I'm sorry I can't join you all live and online today, because I know this is your final and perhaps most important day of the virtual trade mission. I've seen the program you've been participating in and the run sheet for today, and I do hope that today's final session will be engaging and rewarding for all. Initiatives like this virtual trade mission to Singapore serve to provide vital connections that help our Victorian companies connect with partners and customers, and in turn build on and deepen Victoria's commitment to FinTech and RegTech right across Southeast Asia. I'm pleased that you all decided to join us in this important program. Of course, being the first virtual trade mission in this sector, we look forward to evaluating the virtual platform and gaining your feedback on what went well and what we can improve for the future. We've always been focused on the role that government can play in opening doors through trade missions and events. And when situations call for agility and creativity, like they do now, programs such as this virtual trade mission ensure that we continue to build connections between Singapore and Victoria by activating new and innovative ways to bring business together. Through this virtual trade mission, we're taking some of the best and most relevant of Victoria's leading FinTech and RegTech companies to meet potential business partners, to explore opportunities in Singapore and the region, and to access global value chains. Now, I don't think it's an understatement to say that digital technology is rapidly changing the face of Southeast Asia. With 360 million internet users in the zone, it's one of the most engaged mobile internet regions in the world today. And this connectivity is central to the FinTech and RegTech sector. And sitting at the heart of this dynamic region is Singapore, a small country that's become one of the world's most advanced financial centres. Indeed, an attractive hub for Victorian companies with the capability and capacity to join forces with our Singapore ecosystem partners to help improve and automate the delivery of financial services and enhance the regulatory environment in Asia's financial markets. Let me close by thanking a number of people. Firstly, our 7 Victorian FinTech and RegTech businesses and leaders for prioritising this market and this virtual program at this busy time. Thank you to our Singapore ecosystem partners, the Monetary Authority of Singapore, ANZ Bank, Capgemini and Visa, for your time and commitment to this important program. Of course, the team from Startupbootcamp in Melbourne, Brian, Trevor and Oscar, and the Victorian Government crew, Alex in Melbourne, Jason in Singapore, who together have designed and delivered this virtual program.
All right, folks. And with that, I'd like to bring up our next keynote speaker, which is Kui Fei Feng, who is the Deputy Director of the FinTech and Innovation Group for the Monetary Authority of Singapore.
Good morning and welcome. It is unfortunate that I'm not able to physically host you in Singapore. But at the same time, I'm sure that we are all thankful that technology has enabled us to meet, although virtually. Allow me to share a bit more about the Singapore FinTech ecosystem. Singapore started our journey 5 years ago, and we have come a long way since then. We started with 50 FinTech companies here, and now we have over 1,000 offering a wide range of services from payments, wealth management, banking platforms, insurance, RegTech, AI, blockchain, cybersecurity, and capital markets, just to name a few. About 80% of our fintechs are in the B2B space. Singapore is also home to 40 plus innovation labs set up by global banks and insurers, as well as technology companies. These labs are important touch points between the corporates and the fintechs. Fintech investments in Singapore are rising. We reached the record $1 billion investment last year. This year, despite a challenging year due to the pandemic, fintech investments still recorded a 19% increase in the first half of the year. There are a couple of reasons of our success thus far. Let me share with you. Firstly, we have a regulatory framework that is conducive for innovation. We have not one, but two sandboxes. One, a fintech regulatory sandbox, as well as an expedited Sandbox Express for straightforward solutions. Second, we have a national digital infrastructure that is open and interoperable and available for both corporates and startups to leverage on. Let me share with you an example. With the individual's consent, banks and fintechs can tap on MyInfo to retrieve the golden source of data of an individual direct from the government. This streamlines the KYC process and eliminates the need for the customer to go down to a physical bank branch to verify documents like utility bills. In Singapore, we have access to more than 1,600 financial institutions across all sectors, including global banks and insurers. We also have an access to a growing digital-ready and digital-hungry Southeast Asian market. And finally, there are government grants to encourage innovative projects and the development of local talent pipeline. We recently announced a $250 million financial sector technology and innovation grant to support innovation labs, industry-wide projects, POCs, digitalization by smaller financial institutions, as well as data and AI projects. I would like to highlight that all this would not have been possible without the collective support and effort of the fintech community. We have a growing Singapore Fintech Association, which serves as our hands and legs to roll out the initiatives to the community, as well as our eyes and ears to receive and collect feedback from the ground. Today, the association has over 800 members, mainly fintechs, but also financial institutions and other stakeholders in the ecosystem. For example, law firms and even co-working spaces. If you are interested to find out more about the Singapore FinTech ecosystem or get connected to the stakeholders here, I strongly urge you to make contact with the Singapore FinTech Association as your first port of call here in Singapore. In about 3 weeks' time, we will also be having our 5th edition of the Singapore FinTech Festival. This year, given the circumstances, this festival will have to be in hybrid mode, both physical as well as online. While we cannot bring all 60,000 people to Singapore for the festival, we are partnering with more than 40 cities worldwide, including Australia, to organize small-scale events that are compliant with the local safe distancing guidelines. Online, we have prepared a very packed agenda for 5 days over 24 hours, and an interactive online city for exhibitors and international pavilions. Before I end, I would like to invite all of you to attend the Singapore FinTech Festival. I believe that the possibilities of collaboration between our two ecosystems are plenty, and I look forward to closer engagement for our two cities, both virtually and physically when it is safe to do so. Thank you and stay safe.
All right. Well, I'd love to thank all of our different keynote speakers who have walked us through a couple of key things there. And with that, I want to officially have our panelists come up and, well, join me on stage is the term I'd normally use here, but we'll go from there. So panelists, you should be able to turn your videos on. Give it a shot. Great. Hello, all the panelists. So folks, what we're going to do is I'm going to start by having you each introduce yourselves. And then I'm going to start with one key question I'd like you to answer. And then we'll kind of go with the flow. I'll have a couple of other questions for you. And in addition to that, I'll also ask a couple of questions around, well, I'll ask some questions that our trade delegates are asking me in the Q&A. So I would love to have you guys introduce yourself and answer the key question. How are you guys engaging with fintechs in a post-COVID-19 world? That'll be the question I want to kind of kick things off with. And hate to make you go first, but Cam, you are right next to me, so I'm going to jump it off with you. Hope that's all right.
Yeah, that's great. Hi everyone, I'm Kara May. I'm head of product for Visa in Singapore. Visa really sees ourselves as an open platform for financial services innovation. So pre and post-COVID, we are looking to partner with everyone in the ecosystem, and we see fintechs as both enablers as well as possible clients for us from in the issuing space or acquiring space. So we really want fintechs to innovate and unleash new experiences using Singapore as the launch pad. But we also believe that not everybody has to reinvent the wheel when it comes to innovation. So just some examples, I think when Apple Pay, for example, was developed, it was built off Visa token services. So we have existing payment infrastructure that is available for fintechs to tap into rather than reinventing every single part of the experience for consumers or businesses. Another example would be Shopback in Singapore. They are like a loyalty provider similar to Pocket Pal in Australia. They're also leveraging some of the Visa loyalty solutions to do real-time messages for cardholders so that they know when cashback is received. So just some examples there.
Awesome. Thanks, Cam. Come back to a couple more questions. Sudhir and Stefan, I'll let you guys both go at kind of not at the same time. Don't talk over each other, but since you're both from Capgemini, Sudhir, you're to my right, and Stefan, you're just below me. So Sudhir, why don't you kick off, and then we'd love to hear from both of you on how you're engaging with fintechs generally in this new normal.
Thank you, Brian, and it's indeed a pleasure to partner with Startup Bootcamp in Australia. I was listening to the keynotes, and I thought I should make this comment that I live here in Australia, in Melbourne, for a number of years now, about 20 years. So I'm an Aussie in that way. And at the same time, I spend so much time in Singapore and in Asia market. So probably this trade mission is worth in that context of, you know, how can we capitalize what's going in Asia. So the three things that I would like to call out quickly. So the first and foremost, the pandemic situation was all about resilience in the first few months. And that is pushed out into what I call as business as unusual. There is a serious amount of demand in digitization areas, in call center optimization, so much data, AI, those type of led opportunities, channels opportunities are emerging. And my customers in Asia and Singapore being the hub of financial services are keen to engage ecosystem of fintechs to solve some of these problems quickly. The third wave is emerging as well, which is preparing for the future. And this is where I think the fintechs are that we have engaged closely are trying to fine tune their thought process, solution, and proposition to cater to the newer demands. What are the newer demands? It is expansion of investment preferences, new waves of insurance preferences, channel adoption across the board, and so on and so forth. So there is immense amount of opportunities and potential both for fintechs as well as so-called the tech fins, the technology-led fintech serving organizations.
Awesome. Thanks, Sudhir. Stefan, do you want to quickly introduce yourself as well? Anything to add?
Yeah, thank you very much, Brian. I'm also very happy to be part of this awesome panel here. And yeah, my name is Stefan Schacher, and I'm located in Singapore, and I'm running Innovation Center for Capgemini, please. And what we do basically is we are attacking business problem statements from enterprise clients and fixing them together with collaboration for startups. And I have seen in the pandemic, as most of you have, I guess, felt that as well, it's really a push into digitalization, about making things available online. And what I can really see is, like, we see not only like fintechs, financial institutions, but all kind of like different sectors and different companies coming on the table and saying, hey, we would like to do digital transformation, and we would like to include this vibrant fintech ecosystem that we have here in Singapore. So I see a really much an enhancement to the pandemic as well. And on another note, what I see as well, many things have moved to the online world. I think most of us, they're doing, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 Zoom calls a day. And for some of us, it might be painful after a while, but it's also impacted like areas in sales, for example, where you are not able to meet your stakeholders that you're selling to on the interaction one-to-one basis. And this has become challenges as well. And especially for fintechs that coming from Australia, for example, if you want to fit food here in Singapore, what I'm seeing in the market with many fintechs, they're coming from abroad. What they need is a local contact, be it like a partner organization, like Capgemini, for example, or like the FinTech Association as a first springboard, but really have a person on the ground who can support you with being like the person who drives your business also in the local market. So this is what I really see, because traveling, we're all restricted to it. And yeah, so digitalization and the need, even in the virtual world, to have someone on the ground, I would call out the 2 main drivers that I see in my environment at the moment.
All right, thanks, Stefan. I'm going to switch over to our last ecosystem partners, Ben and Shane. I'll have you guys introduce yourselves quickly, and same question. How are you guys engaging with fintechs this year?
Sure, thank you, and it's great to be part of this trade mission. So thank you very much for the invitation. So my name's Shane Marsh. I'm based in Singapore, and I look after the financial institution relationships in the market. And in a previous role was leading the payments and cash relationships across Australia and New Zealand. So know that part of the business very well. In terms of the relationship with fintechs, from a bank perspective, it's very much threefold. So we provide banking services to fintechs. We partner with fintechs where we see there's an opportunity to leverage their services to meet our objectives and our clients' objectives. So effectively through delivering fintech services direct to our clients. And thirdly, we invest in fintechs. So where we see there's an opportunity to work together and to grow that organization. And there is some interconnectivity between those 3 relationships as well. In terms of post-COVID, I really see that the relationship with fintechs has really increased in terms of its intensity and the need to be able to succeed for us on all 3 of those pillars, and to be able to bring technology solutions and innovation not only to the bank but also to our clients as well. So as we've had to work through a number of challenges this year, of which there's been many, the way in which we work with our partners and the way in which we look to bring solutions to market has really increased in its intensity.
Thanks, Shane. Ben, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, thanks, Brian. So I'm Ben Smith. I head our Australia and New Zealand desk here, and what that role is the coverage of all of our Australian and New Zealand companies that are accessing ANZ through Singapore and typically by extension Southeast Asia. So that's across all industries. There's manufacturing, trading, technology companies as well. And we typically look at this market as Singapore is sort of the hub for the ASEAN region. So a much bigger than 5 million people, more like a 600 million person market, $2.5 trillion economy. And that's up until COVID, that's presented some great opportunities for Australian business. I think you're seeing the rise of Southeast Asia, the need to diversify reliance on China, and there's been a lot of progress made there. And to the question on, what's happening in a post-COVID world, I think that's interesting. Best practice for Australian companies, in my mind, entering this market has been to either fly in and fly out regularly, build up those relationships, be attentive, and follow up, or base, as a beachhead sales and marketing people in market. Both of those the first option just doesn't exist anymore, and the second option is perhaps a bit more challenging. So interesting to hear Stefan's comments about partnering. Perhaps that's sort of the only way for the time being, but I think the best what's future best practice is perhaps still to be told. I don't think it's likely to be, Zoom calling every prospect you can find. I think that will be hard to cut through in that way.
I know that while we were in lockdown here in Victoria for a very long time, I was buying a lot of Uber Eats based lunches and coffees for people to do over Zooms, and that's as close as we could get. Now that we've heard from everybody, I'm going to open up the questions to really kind of first come, first serve. And the first question I want to ask is, Singapore has been known as, I've had the ability to work with the Singapore ecosystem since 2014. The fintech landscape has been vibrant. We've heard that from the MAS keynote speaker. I've heard that from all of you as well for years. It's been a core focus area and strategy of the government and the ecosystem. So let's start at a really high level. How is Singapore's general fintech ecosystem looking these days? Has that been changed at all? And what are some of the big opportunities that they're focusing on? I'll open it up to anybody who wants to take on that question.
Maybe I'll give it a go if no one is answering. So look, I think what we have seen in terms of fintech ecosystem, of course, there is a fair bit of uptake or rise on when it comes to financial services around artificial intelligence, data-led areas of fintech. There is as well wealth space that we have seen an uptake. Fintechs around investment preferences, we have seen an uptake. Also, if I classify fintechs that are supporting sort of niche banking functions, and this might be partly because since last 1 year, MAS is in the process of selecting and operationalizing 5+ banking licenses. And as part of that, there's been a fair bit of traction that I've seen in the fintech market, who can offer those niche plug-in services for banking, be it onboarding, be it payments, be it regulatory compliance related, areas. So it's that sort of a space which is emerging. So if you look at from an end perspective, end goal for fintechs or what they're trying to solve through these channels is, of course, to open up newer markets for SME segments or focus more around the investment choices for mass so-called market. So those sort of business areas I've seen developing.
Thanks, Sudhir.
Maybe point from my side. Sorry, Kim, please go ahead.
No, go for it.
Okay, thanks, Zoe. Yes, maybe 1 or 2 points from my side. So what I've seen as well, the environment or the fintechs have way more professionalized here in Singapore. So as I think as MAS has outlined, it's like when Singapore started the journey a couple of years ago, it was like, hey, really a rush into it. Hey, suddenly we have fintechs and I would like to collaborate with banks. And what we saw was a lot of early startups basically who came with ideas and which like a small proof of concept, which didn't really work and stuff like this. So what I can see now in the landscape, so organizations that starting businesses in venture have been way more professionalized. It's a super vibrant ecosystem where you can turn to partners in a very easy way, be it the fintech association, the government support, be it like companies like I think Visa, MasterCard, they are all like, I don't want to say hunting, but they are in touch with the fintechs. They really know what's going on. And so do we from the consulting side, as like Capgemini and also our competitors. They all have innovation centers, which are an entrance point for these companies to understand better how these organizations are working, because the challenge is very often to sell to banks. Basically, the cycles are very long. But even these banks, they have understood that they need to make a step also towards the fintechs. So in terms of like venturing with them, trying out new business models, having this sandbox environment. So it's a way more professional environment. And for companies also that want to come to Singapore, it's not good enough just with an idea on PowerPoint. So you need to have something substantial that you can show your desired customer. And yeah, so having said that, look at the FinTech Festival. Yes, it was one of the greatest events basically worldwide in terms of like fintechs. And like, yeah, through this pandemic, and suddenly all these people cannot travel to Singapore anymore. And also they managed very well to go into like a hybrid and virtual environment, to have like different cities participating, where people come in other cities to hotspots where they basically identify or engage with the panel speakers. And this is also a very leapfrog step forward for Singapore. So this environment is better and is way more professional than it used to be.
Thanks, Stefan. KM, you were jumping in.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, for Singapore, the reason that it's a very conducive environment is because the government is very forward-looking. We also have a very conducive infrastructure, but also as a country, we're very open to talent. And in fact, there was an announcement just today about how the government is going to allow tech passes in an aim to attract more tech talent to Singapore. So where in the past, you might have worked here on an employment pass, and if you changed employers in between jobs, that pass is no longer valid. This tech pass is actually tagged to the individual and is aimed at keeping these individuals in Singapore where that's tech talent, so that they can be investors, they can be founders of companies, shareholders, or start and operate their own business based in Singapore. So overall, I think in terms of an environment, it's still very much a flourishing ecosystem. And post-COVID, as you mentioned earlier, you were doing a lot of Uber Eats. That we actually see a lot of consumers who may have not been on digital before, now turning to digital and staying with that behavior because they were forced to during the lockdowns. And now they've realized, hey, it's actually not such a scary thing after all. And they've built that behavior. We expect that to continue post-COVID. And same for businesses. As consumers begin to embrace going digital, businesses are also forced to go digital. So these are some opportunities for the fintechs to participate in as well, both in the B2B and in the B2C space. Governments, right? As we talk about the government's giving a lot of grants to fintechs in Singapore, they're also giving a lot of grants to individuals and other small businesses in Singapore. And where in the past, these used to be very manual, could have been very manual processes, there are also opportunities for fintechs to convert these payments into electronic means, or just cover the risk and security elements of such disbursements. So they could also be solving for government needs in RegTech. I think it may also be common knowledge that digital banking licenses are being given out in Singapore at the end of this year, 2 for full retail banks and 3 for wholesale digital banks. Traditionally, a lot of focus on the consumer part of the Singapore market, but there's also a lot of opportunity for the wholesale retail, the wholesale digital bank licenses, where we see opportunities for fintech to really offer solutions that would challenge both the incumbents as well as add value to the new players in the market. Could be across lending, could be across risk and compliance, could just be enabling new user experiences that may have been overlooked in the past.
Okay, and you're raising 2 big issues that I want to transition to the next part of our conversation. And I'll probably throw this over to the ANZ guys because we've had a lot of conversations around this. You're talking about the importance of creating digital opportunities and moving into these digital spaces and places, and the important opportunity there. The other opportunity that you really raised is in RegTech, especially in the Singapore space. So Ben and Shane, these are 2 areas we've had quite a few conversations on. I'd love your guys' thoughts on when you're looking at it from whether it's the institutional banking side or the wealth management side, what are you guys seeing as some of the big opportunities in going digital, and then also in some of the RegTech, or we've called those terms sometimes back office efficiency. What are some of the opportunities that you're seeing there?
Sure, thank you. Post COVID, a lot of focus has really been around digitalization of a lot of the internal functions related to the disaster response. And so very simply, we've had to mobilize an entire workforce to be working outside of the office, and there's a lot of different services that are related to that. And that's a change that's had to move very quickly. And we are needing to provide services to enable our internal teams to connect, but also our teams to connect to our clients as well. It's also meant that there's perhaps a shift to greater efficiency and cost control as well. There's definitely a theme in the coming years. And so the work that we have been doing around back office efficiency with the use of machine learning AI and blockchain are actually significantly increasing now. Some of the timeframes that were perhaps 2 or 3 years away to deliver that work are really being brought in. That also crosses over the reg tech space, and specifically KYC and due diligence of clients are two areas in which the banks are all trying to get more efficient, because the solutions today are quite resource heavy and a bit cumbersome as well. And then if I was to touch on one last one, data management has been a big topic for a number of years now. It's just going to become even more important, and the way in which fintechs can help large organizations that have multiple data sets to simplify those and turn those into insights for both use internally but for clients as well is going to be a really important function and capability as we move forward.
And so maybe just to add to that from a corporate's perspective, sort of our clients or the market, Singapore has, it's either you call it a smart nation strategy or goal, and have put the government's driven a lot of infrastructure that drives digitization and simplification, and part of the goal is productivity and efficiency. But there's still very traditional business thinking in the SME market in particular, and even in, surprisingly large corporates, on how they do things. And COVID's caused massive issues there with, even things as simple as checks. All the banks closed their branches. You don't want people moving around the city so much, etc. So it's forced change there, but it's hard fought change at this point, because the early adopters have been in it for a while, and the late changes are very difficult. And even many corporates here still don't put their bank account details on an invoice. So check has been your only option, and that's such a basic thing. But getting that change is, I guess, a positive, but it's quite difficult here. At that last part, I guess the other thing I briefly mentioned there, which is relevant to banking, is KYC is quite a challenge where there's lack of movement. Overlay that with sort of data protection and banking secrecy type rules in Singapore, and how you move information around, how you move documents, how you certify the authenticity of those is a pain point globally. It's also a pain point here. I think there are some solutions creeping in, but perhaps there's a need for industry-wide change all at once, as opposed to bit by bit, I think, to make that really effective.
Thanks, Ben. Thanks, Shane. That was great. Sudhir, I might switch over to you for my next question, because you obviously look at things globally. Singapore is one part of the business that you oversee with Capgemini. And so I'm curious, as you start to look, if you're looking more broadly across APAC, for a lot of the delegates and others who may be watching this, as they're looking at Singapore as a potential strategic outpost, it's often thought of as a launch pad. That allows, if you can go from Singapore, it allows you to move into other markets. What are some of the main markets that you guys see from Capgemini as tying into the Singapore space? And then how do you see the kind of ability to launch from Singapore into other areas? I'd love to dig a little deeper with you on that.
No, this is a good question. So there are a couple of interesting conversation I'm seeing, especially 2020. One conversation is along the tagline of we say West meets East or East meets West, whatever you call it. I think there is significant amount of interest from our own global clients to explore the Asia market and of course Greater Bay Area and China market. And when you talk about Asia and particularly Southeast Asia, the first point that they land is Singapore to understand what's in there. So I believe that moment will drive further sort of business. And the reason for that moment is the sheer adoption of digital technologies. And even though, Asia, we do not necessarily call it like a more formal open banking like Europe we called 2-3 years back, but open banking has been here for much longer in that context, because consumers are used to all the modern technologies and are available to do transaction digitally, and of course, like my co-panelist said, well supported by Singapore ecosystem. So that's a big moment I can see. The second I'm seeing is if you look at the banks, there are many banks who have opened so-called their digital only, or in competing with neobanks in and around not just Singapore market, in extended Southeast Asia market, right? So we have seen that Malaysia is going next, Indonesia and so on. So anything that you are establishing now in Singapore, you should at least keep in mind of Southeast Asia as the next, of course, launch pad for you. One more interesting development is, of course, the China side. So the next wave of transformation that the larger institutes in Singapore who are already gone through the digital initiatives are looking for the next big wave, and that is again triggered through ecosystem, particularly technology ecosystem developed in China, and looking at avenues of expansion. So one call out or tagline for me is, if you are establishing your solution and your sales, your delivery engine in Singapore, be mindful of Singapore's local ecosystem and how to work with those ecosystem. Be it regulator, be it payment infrastructure, be it, because the moment you enter a geography, you are expected that you have all these things plugged in, so that you are seamless in providing the value that you're going to offer to clients.
Thanks, Sudhir. I have one more question for the group, but before I do, Kara May, I'm seeing you nodding your head quite a bit during that. Did you have anything you wanted to add from what Sudhir said?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think most of the fintech players that we're seeing in Singapore are not just targeting the Singapore market. They're targeting the wider Southeast Asia or Asian markets outside Singapore, just using Singapore as the base from which they operate. And already Visa has partnerships with many of such fintechs. And typically Singapore is just one part of their overall roadmap. It's just a great place to start, have that proof of concept going. Yeah, because it's a small country, it's a small base to begin with, but then because of the infrastructure available, it then makes it very conducive for you to expand to other markets.
You have unintentionally perfectly transitioned me, KM, into the last question that I want to ask. And I want to hear from everybody on this, and then we're going to switch over to the pitch competition with the delegates, so we can get to the big part. You guys can hear from them. But what I want to hear from everybody is, what is your advice for companies who are coming into Singapore for the first time? For companies who are entering this space, there's a lot of similarities. There's been the big government announcements recently that Singapore and Australia especially are going to be creating a regulatory environment that's going to be as close to similar as possible. So that's really exciting. But what are some of the big pieces of advice that you might have for individuals, whether it's as a founder, as a company who's coming into the ecosystem? Ben, I might start with you for this one.
Sure, thanks, Brian. So, Cam and Sudhir sort of mentioned it before, but firstly, you got to think of Singapore as that hub for the region. It's not just the 5 million people; it's the 600 million people plus. And you're coming here for the regional opportunities, and in some cases, you're also coming here to access the talent and the investors. And then I guess you need to work out, well, who is your target audience? Because you've got various layers here. I mentioned the SMEs, but really, often what's most attractive is the multinationals and their regional offices and leadership, which are often APAC leadership. I think the statistic in Singapore is that of the thousands of multinationals that are here, 60% of them are running their Asia Pac head office from here. So that's a great access point. And often I hear from Australian companies that have set up here, they set up here to break away from in-country Australian leadership and their clients at these MNCs to regional leadership with high-level decision-making, and if they're in a sourcing role, they're able to access better pricing as well. But there are also some large local corporates in Singapore and regional Asian corporates that are increasingly setting up their offices here. And in fact, you're also seeing a number of large Chinese companies make Singapore their sort of big, non-China base. So that's really important. And then, so getting to know them and following them into the region where you want to be. And then the last point I'd make is, you're typically not the first person to do what you're trying to do. There's a large cohort of other companies of similar and same industries that have done it before, which means there's a large number of people you can approach that might be willing to be mentors or advisors, or if you're really getting into it, employees and they've done it before. They're used to accessing Indonesia or Vietnam or Thailand, or, you know, if you go and, you know, really frontier Myanmar and whatnot. And so you're able to get all of that, and the advisors as well, the lawyers, the accountants, whatever, the really friendly bankers. They're all here and they've done it before, and so you're able to tap into that in one place in one city. It makes it a lot easier for you than trying to go to each market separately.
Awesome. Thanks, Ben. Stefan, I'll go to you next.
Yes, thank you very much. I would actually like to reinforce my point that I mentioned earlier. So if you come to Singapore, and I think it's really the right thing to do, and also to use it as a springboard to tap these other countries around, I think what Ben mentioned is 600 million people or customers that you think about, that's the right approach. And coming to Singapore, yes, make sure you have the right partners or the right person on the ground who is helping your venture when you're coming from abroad. This is really what I see. It's in demand for also companies that are coming from other countries. So I'm doing mentorship also for companies that are coming from Europe or from New Zealand for the Trade Commission, for example, and they have very similar demands. Do you know anybody locally who can support us, who can bring us in front of the right people? Someone who has already connections and someone who can, like, we join forces with basically to bring our venture forward. So I really see this so much enhanced during this pandemic, so I can only re-emphasize this.
Thanks, Stefan. Shane, I'll go to you next.
Thanks. And I think a lot of the key points have been mentioned. If there's two that I would really stress, they would be getting connected. So getting the ecosystem exists here, so get connected into it, whether that be the local FinTech association or your government representatives on the ground here in Singapore, or other people in the industry and in the network. I think getting connected in is the best way to pick up the local nuances and understand some of the learnings that have taken place as well. And the second would be to really understand the role that the government plays in Singapore. The FinTech development is a key strategic focus of Singapore, as is kind of being an international country that's connected into the region, and understanding that role and how to connect in with the government and how they can support in so many ways is really important to success. And I would definitely encourage people to get yourself educated and connected into that aspect of it as well.
Thanks, Shane. Sudhir, we'll go to you, and then Karamay, I'll end up with you.
Okay, so just maybe one more comment here is, if you are opening up in Singapore and to address Southeast Asia, I would think market is very competitive. So you have to you are probably looking at a lot more higher, the maturity from a regulator, from clients, and so on and so forth. So you have to be tangible, practical. You should be able to operationalize what you are saying, and so on and so forth. So be ready to deliver outcomes in addition to having a good base and a good pitch of your solution. So just keep that in mind, and for that you might have to look out for opportunities for local talent and support that is available in the regional market.
Thanks, Sudhir. Last but certainly not least.
So I echo the earlier points about getting connected. The Singapore FinTech Association is a great place to start, and also Visa is always looking out for fintechs that we can partner with or bring to our clients who might be looking for solutions that have been unmet so far. But not just about payments, it's also about money movement, data movement, just being a network of networks. And to that end, we have two programs that I think the fintechs might find useful to know about. One is the FinTech Fast Track. So that is an expedited licensing process with Visa if you wanted to become a Visa client. And it also has a reduced collateral requirement just to ease up the working capital needs on the fintechs. And the other place that you can try looking for resources from is the Visa Partner Portal. That's really set up for fintechs to explore what are some of the fintech partners that we already have on board, some of the capabilities, and I guess could be a source of inspiration also on who are some of Visa's clients that might be of interest to the fintechs.
Awesome. I want to thank all of our panelists today for the fantastic conversation. I really appreciate your guys' time. And sadly, for two of you, this is goodbye. Goodbye, Kara May Lim. Goodbye, Stefan. It was a pleasure having you as we switch over into the pitch competition. Bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. So with that, I'd also like to introduce our final panelist of the day and our final judge for the pitch competition here, C. Lim. C, do you want to quickly introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, I'm CE. I am heading up the Innovation Center for Asia Pacific for Visa. And I know Karame has already spoken to you about some of the great fintech programs that we have here. In addition to that, we also, of course, do a lot of innovation work with the fintechs across the region, but based out of Singapore. And we have a various different types of programs, such as running co-creations and discoveries and even tours to share with fintechs on Visa's capabilities across the full financial suite of products. So I'm really thrilled to be here today and look forward to the pitch competition.
Fantastic. Well, with that, I believe in moving right into stuff. So folks, we now already know all the judges. Judges, I've re-put your scoring link just in case you lost it into the chat. So you should be able to get that. You can direct message me if you have any issues. But we're going to move right into it with our very first trade delegate pitch of the day, Mr. Adam Wood from Certified By. Adam, can you hear us okay? Can you see us okay?
I can hear and see you well, thanks.
Excellent. And would you mind sharing your screen?
Sure.
So the rule of the game, folks, while Adam does this, is that the founders will have 3 minutes to pitch their product. That'll be followed by 5 minutes of Q&A from the judges, and then we move to the next group. With that, Adam, I can see your screen great, so I'm going to let you take it from here.
Wonderful. Thanks, Brian. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. It's a real honour to be here with you today. My name's Adam Wood. I'm the founder and CEO of Certified By. I'm also part of the Wood family who had a 40-plus year history in international credit and risk management. My dad pioneered the international debt collection industry, built a global network over 40 years to about 100 countries, including Singapore. Fast forward to 2016, I inherited the family business that was essentially on its knees, facing the full impact of regulatory and digital disruption. In 2018, as part of our succession plan, I led the creation of the International Credit and Collection Alliance, which was made up of all the leading industry associations in credit and collection to come together to drive global standards, starting with data and privacy, data management and privacy. What I found in that process was that there are no reg techs for SMEs, whether it be startups that are looking to build solid foundations, scale-ups, looking at ISO type certification but not quite ready, or family businesses dealing with succession or exit planning. The cost and complexity of digital and regulatory transformation has been suffocating to many SMEs and particularly those within mature supply chains. And now, obviously, in 2020, we're all desperately in need of a COVID recovery. So we built a solution that was all based around truly freemium online programs to build stronger businesses across 3 core pillars of cyber, GRC, and growth. Here you can see our website where we highlight one of our programs, which is the COVID Safe Business Recovery Program. A program to us means it's an automated risk assessment to help a business measure their capabilities, provides reports and analytics to identify and prioritise remediation efforts that should be most addressed, ultimately to lead to receive certification in order to build trust with your clients or your stakeholders or your partners. The opportunity, as I'm sure you know, RegTech is a booming industry. Many forecasts, or one forecast in particular, talks about a growth from 6.3 billion in 2020 to 16 billion in 2025. So we're focused on the target markets initially of accounting and finance, followed by insurance and risk, and then wider professional services and technology providers. We think our partner benefits, particularly through the lens of money and SME lending, is in that our platform provides lead generation, decision making and customer stickiness, in some ways similar to the insurance industry partnerships where we can help complement the education and compliance of professional indemnity and cyber insurance policies. Our revenue streams are through premium subscriptions, partner referral commissions and concierge billing services. And I guess the question is why us and why now is that as we explained, this was born out of necessity. We looked all around the world for something like this and it didn't exist. So we built it and now we hope to do well by doing good for SMEs, hopefully all around the world. We know we can't do it alone, so we rely on an extraordinary brains trust of subject matter experts who have helped shape our understanding, our vision, and our priorities of what the market needs and what solution we should build. At this stage, we're yet to see a competitor that's like for like. There is many amazing enterprise solutions, and there's no shortage of really innovative, segmented solutions, but seemingly no one that's doing education, audit, and certification across a wider scope, particularly for SMEs. And so our ask is that we're looking for innovative leaders to partner with, particularly in finance and around the insurance and accounting space. We can help provide business fulfillment and growth to your SME customers. And if that's of interest, we'd love to talk to you. That's it.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Adam. Go ahead and stop sharing your screen so we can see the whole panel here. And you went a little bit over, but that's okay. I'm just going to take it out of your Q&A time. So with that, I'll open it up for the panel and let folks take it from there. What questions do you guys have for Adam about certified buy?
Good. The deck must have been that good.
It blew them away, Adam. It blew them away. The first question is the hardest.
I've frozen, but hopefully you can hear me. Look, as I kind of mentioned in the panel discussion, KYC and due diligence is a really big pain point at the moment. I think anything you can do in this space to kind of streamline it. Can you tell us a little bit more about what is the point of difference for your solution that you really think will drive that efficiency and differentiation? Because you're right, there are a lot of players in this space, but what is it that's, I suppose, unique about your solution that you think will generate that value for the SME market?
Yep, great question. I think that it's truly that we are about SMEs. I think a lot of other solutions you'll see freemium referred to as a lead magnet or as a way in to ultimately sell a more enterprise solution. I think firstly that we are priced in a truly freemium way. We have 10 programs at this stage. 5 of those are free and always will be around business improvement, cyber essentials, and other basic programs around good business management. So I think firstly that we are genuinely for SMEs and that we are priced accordingly, that we have built a framework around an understanding as an SME. I think when most people look at an ISO framework, the larger smalls and the smaller mediums are not necessarily sure how to implement or how to work their way through that, and our platform provides a systematic framework to do so. And in many ways, it's democratizing that enterprise understanding of audit and certification to an SME level. So we think that with a freemium model, we build a network effect. We start to build out additional features and programs like PCI and AML KYC as the needs evolve.
Great, thank you.
Just a question.
Go for it, Sudhir.
Sorry, just to further build on. So the regulatory environments are changing so fast, and it's very complex, complicated. So how do you intend to keep up with those changes? Because that itself could be a big investment as well, to have the right SMEs and the knowledge.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so what we looked at was international best practice standards. We took through the lens of, say, just cyber. We looked at what was happening with NIST and here in Australia with the Essential 8 and all the various different cyber frameworks that were agreed on what the principles of they are. So we're not trying to replicate the sophisticated compliance programs that exist through ISO and SOC 2 and other programs. We see ourselves as a gateway to best practice. So essentially our programs are driven on agreed international norms and principles. When we look at, say, privacy and data protection, we obviously looked at GDPR and what was happening here with CDR in the US, and we looked across a broad range of standards and pulled out what were the agreed fundamentals that a business, that an SME business that otherwise has nothing can at least work towards in a really affordable, scalable way at their own time. That's the other thing, is it's not time-based. We simply provide a framework that a user can use as much or as little as their own circumstances demand.
Got about 40 seconds left, which is time for a very quick question if someone has one.
I actually have a very quick question. Thanks, Adam. That was a very polished and accomplished pitch. My question is, you mentioned that you're really working towards these international standards, but of course, when you come into Singapore and you come into Southeast Asia, there's a lot of the regulation that needs to be very local in terms of the context. How do you account for that, and how would you help SMEs for that?
Yes, great question. And I think it comes back to what Stefan said earlier around partners and having boots on the ground and adopting and I guess leveraging local knowledge. The beauty of our platform is that we have 10 programs. Next week, we could have 15. Our technology allows us to build programs that provide the risk assessment, the report, the remediation, and the certification piece. That's really the technology that we've built. So if we have specific Singaporean regulatory frameworks that we want to build an online program around, and there is demand for that, we can do so very easily.
Great. Thank you so much, Adam. Go ahead and wave your goodbyes. I'm going to send you back from whence you came as you join the attendees again, and we come up to our next pitcher, which in this case is Susie Jones from Cinch. Hello, Susie.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I can hear you okay. I can see you okay. I can see your deck. So I'll let you take it away from here.
Great. Thank you, Brian. And hello, everybody. I'm excited to introduce you to cyber fitness for small business as co-founder and CEO of Cinch. My name is Susie Jones, and I share with my incredibly accomplished team of technologists, cybersecurity professionals, and risk managers who have earned their stripes in some of Australia's most respected businesses. A vision of a world where every business, big or small, is fit and strong and resilient to the cyber threats that we all face every day. We know from working with almost 300 small businesses over the last 18 months that 92% of small business owners know the criticality of their technology and also are concerned about the cyber threats that are attacking them every day. And yet 84% of them also know that cybersecurity is a very complex issue, but the cybersecurity industry is only targeting the largest of businesses. How can you expect your accountants, your lawyers, or your doctors to get on top of this risk when the solutions available today are either far too expensive, far too vague and generalist, only point solutions and only solving particular problems? How can we expect any business owner to get on top of it? We knew there was a better way, and we realized that just as when you join a gym to improve your physical fitness, we could build a membership to help with cyber fitness. So the Cinch Cyber Fitness platform provides automated risk assessments, so within 10 minutes of signing up, you know what your biggest threats are. We then provide tailored cyber programs that you can follow along, giving you all of the policy and documentation templates you need, compliance tracking and reporting, and everything is provided in plain language exercises for both yourself and your staff. We break everything down into exercises that take less than 5 minutes at a time because small business owners never have enough time on their hands, and our programs start from just $99 a month. To this end, it truly is everything a small business needs. Now, we acquire customers directly as well as through partnerships and large corporates that have lots of third-party or fourth or fifth-party small business suppliers that they need to understand the security of. And today I'm looking for partners to work with us. If you're not quite sure yet whether or not we're worth working with, last year we were announced as one of 7 finalists in New York City's Cybersecurity Moonshot Challenge, beating out 162 other companies from around the world. So join us today and reach out to me, and together we can build a cyber fit world. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Susie. I'll let you stop sharing your screen so we can see the panelists again. And panelists, I will open it up to you for any questions that you have.
Hey, that's a really interesting pitch. Well done. It's cybersecurity is even more relevant since COVID. I mean, I'm sure you're aware that the cyber crime events have really taken off since COVID occurred. And you're right, education of businesses is a really important factor of that. And actually the bank has done a number of presentations for kind of groups of clients to try and bring them up to speed, because education is a really important starting point. My question is, so you're working at the front end and the prevention piece. What happens for one of your clients if they have an event, and do you step in at that stage, or do you bring in other partners to solve for it? Because while everyone's aware of it, it becomes very real when they have an actual event.
Absolutely, it does. That's exactly how we actually started. We started working in this space by building out a post data breach solution, and then realized we really needed to get in front of the issue in the first place. So when one of our members does have an incident, they reach out to us and we put them in touch with specialists that can actually help them and nurse them through that situation. But prior to that, as a very big part of our programs and our whole ethos when it comes to cybersecurity, is we help educate a business owner on how to plan their incident response. So through our platform, doing a 5-minute exercise, they can actually develop a tailored incident response plan for their own business so that when the proverbial hits the fan, they're actually already ready and know who to call. We also encourage and partner with cyber insurers. So cyber insurers sure might pay for the financial impact of an incident, but more importantly, they provide access to forensic experts, PR experts, legal, everybody that a small business owner needs to work with to actually respond to a data breach as well. So we help them purchase that. We help them become insurable in the first instance so that if an incident hits their books, they actually know what to do.
Great, thank you.
There is a company in Australia called Cyber Gym. So I was saying your cyber fitness and their cyber gym, and I'm just putting a lighter note here. So look, I think the whole of cyber is probably a value chain or the entire ecosystem, right? So it's not just one organization which can solve everything. And you have some price point I saw in your slide deck. So who are your core ecosystem partners, and how do you price the things that are not in your control, as in you're dependent on others?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a combined go-to-market strategy of working directly with small business owners that are out there looking for solutions and Googling things, so they can actually just sign up themselves. And so we price our models per business rather than by how many people that they need to involve, because they can always invite their third-party IT support providers and other team members into their platform to work on the issue together collaboratively. But in terms of our partnerships, so we work with everybody that a small business owner already knows and trusts. So their insurance brokers, their IT support providers, their industry associations, government agencies, as well as large corporates. So large corporates that have lots of small business customers like ANZ here in Australia or Visa, etc. But also those large corporates that have lots of small businesses in their supply chain. So we're working with a large Australian defence prime contractor right now because they need to understand the security of their supply chain. And with so many micro and small businesses that can't necessarily respond to a 200 question assurance questionnaire, by combining our cyber fitness membership with visibility for them over the overall maturity, we're able to help everybody to help those small businesses improve their cyber maturity over time.
I've got 1 minute left in time for one more quick question, if somebody has it. Going once, going twice. Sold for 30, no, anyway. Susie, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Because you've got 30 seconds, any final thoughts you want to leave the judges with?
I just thought I'd mention, so whilst Sudhir mentioned Cyber Gym before, they are an entirely different company. So whilst they are cybersecurity, they're very much about helping cybersecurity professionals to improve their skills, not about the SME market at all. So yeah, definitely a differentiation there.
Cool. Thank you so much, Susie. And like everybody else, I'm going to send you back to the attendee side. So give a wave. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Judges, don't forget to be scoring these teams on the score sheets. I don't want to call anybody out, but one of you is not pressing submit. That's all I'm going to say. Next up, we have Dilip Mohapatra from Cognitive View. Hello, Dilip.
Hi, Brian. Can you hear me?
I can. I can hear you. I can see you. And if you want to share your screen, we'll test that very quickly.
All right. Okay. Okay, can you see my screen now?
It is going now. Whenever you are ready, Dilip, you've got 3 minutes on the clock.
Okay, thank you. Thank you everyone for your time today. My name is Dilip Mohapatra. I'm the founder of Cognitive View. So we are a RegTech and based out of Melbourne, Australia. Just to give you a bit of a background, in 2018, the Australian government has started an inquiry called Royal Banking Commission to look into a widespread misconduct challenge in the financial services industry. And what we have seen as a result of this is that the banks have paid billions of dollars of fine. There has been a significant reputational damage, and there is a significant drop in the public trust. So to give you a bit of a context, life insurance product has been sold over a cold call, and bad financial advice has been given to people who are really vulnerable and old, and they have lost their life savings. If you look at the claim rejection rate, it has actually significantly gone up. So looking at all these kind of challenges, so we wanted to address this, and conduct is primarily the foundation of some of these challenges that we're talking about. And it's more about the customer experience. It's about the compliance failure, which is mostly focusing on the regulatory compliance failure or industry code of conduct, customer complaint. And we have a new body called AFCA, and complaint is also actually has gone up significantly post-COVID. We have seen that. And fraud is a big challenge as well, as people are working remotely. The companies want to really supervise and monitor Microsoft Teams and Zoom, all those remote channels as well. So in terms of technology, how it works is we actually provide a bunch of out-of-the-box obligations or policies or compliance rules, if you call it, and that works in a very risk-driven approach. And we monitor all the communication channels like your contact center, voice data, Zoom, Microsoft Teams, and so on and so forth. And essentially, it provides you customer experience, which helps you to understand how your customers are feeling, happy, angry, all those sentiment and tone analysis. It helps you to understand your quality, how people are actually doing, do they need more training, all those QA stuff, but also helps you to identify the incident and breach so that you know exactly which compliance has actually failed, and also looking into the conduct risk, basically. So complaint is also one module that we have added, which essentially allows you to identify the customer concerns and complaint early so that you can prevent that ending up with your ombudsman body. So in terms of the actual modules, so these are the key modules that we have, which is compliance monitoring, customer experience, conduct risk, and complaint. But conduct risk is where we actually allow you to define what conduct means to you so that you can actually prioritize and customize based on what you need. We have deployed this solution with a number of local insurance customers, but also we have done pilot with the top 4 banks in Australia. And we are really expanding globally as we speak. And in terms of the outcome, it's really because the firm actually have to employ people to supervise, contact center. They don't have to do that because they could automate the whole process using AI. And it's, of course, substantially reduced the cost and reduced complaints almost 50% there. With respect, since we started, we are lucky to be voted as RegTech 100. We have done a number of regulatory trials. And as we speak, we are listing our solutions in a number of marketplaces. And our channel go-to-market is really channel focused. So we are really partnering and working with other advisory firms who already provide those regulatory or compliance advisory. So we just provide the technology.
Sorry, I'm going to interrupt you because you've gone a bit over time, and I want to make sure you've got some time for Q&A.
Right, okay.
So thank you so much. I appreciate that. Judges, what questions do you have for Dilip and Cognitive View?
Yeah, maybe Brian, I can start. So absolutely relevant in the Singapore market, compliance and conduct, it's always been an important part of the banking market here. You talked a bit about training, I guess monitoring and complaints management. Is there any part of it which is preventative, which is automated prevention? Here, once you've sent the wrong thing by email or breached data secrecy, it's a little bit late. It's self-reportable and the consequences are quite high. So anything that's preventative there?
Yeah, so we do have a real-time functionality essentially that allows the agent or the advisor, the person who is actually interacting with the customer, to see real-time what's going on, and that actually helps them to prevent those kind of breaches and looks into the compliance failures as well.
Thanks.
Anybody else have questions for Cognitive View?
How much of your solution is proprietary versus riding on some of the existing analytics, voice, APIs of other partners?
So everything that I have spoken today is a proprietary, except the speech recognition engine, and we intentionally kept that because it is a heavy invested technology, but also we wanted to work with internationally, let's say in Chinese, in different geographies where different accent and way how people speak the language. By partnering with a number of providers like SpeechMatrix, Google, it allows us the flexibility to work what really suits best in that geography.
Any other questions for Dilip and Cognitive View?
You had, you just mentioned four major banks and a number of customers you have already. What has been your outcome of these engagements as a measure? Have you been able to measure it? Like, what's the impact on each of the areas that you have talked about, or it was more of a proof of concept?
No, it was the banking ones are actually proof of concept, but the insurance ones are actually production rollout. So what we have seen is just here a post-12 banking commission. The banks have initiated a number of initiatives, mostly around it's responsible banking initiatives. So, and as responsible banking, there's a number of small initiatives that is going on. One is, of course, your contact center automation. They're looking into your complaint. So the outcome that we have done specifically to the bank is more about the product disclosure statement. So we could automatically analyze the PDS document, which came because of a number of changes, that the system can monitor those PDS changes for your contact center and all your communication channels.
Great. With that, Dilip, I want to thank you so much for your time. And I'm going to be bringing up the next attendee from the group, whose name is almost as good as your name, because it's also Dilip. So we've got another Dilip, this time from Z-Score. So with that, let's see if we've got Mr. Murali. Thank you so much. I can see you. Can you say something?
Hey, everybody. Dilip here. Thanks for having me today.
Great. Do you want to share your screen, and we'll go ahead and get started, Dilip?
Sure. Are you able to see my screen?
Absolutely. Dilip, before you begin, just really quickly, so for the trade delegates, Lee, I got your message. I know you're having some tech issues. So because of that, I'm just making people aware, TickPay, I'm going to have you guys go next, followed by Pencil, and Lee from Easy Monitor, I'll move you to the end to give you some time to fix your tech issues. Dilip, with that, I'm going to let you take it away.
Hi, my name is Dilip Murali. I am the founder and CEO of Z-Score. We are an augmented data management company. As we move from the age of information to the age of intelligence, we are seeing companies struggling with their data strategy, and primarily the biggest reason for that is lack of data quality. And poor data quality leads to a potential loss of close to about $600 billion annually in the US alone, and about $15 or $20 million per company. And we see data scientists spend more than 80% of their time cleaning data, resulting in auditing nightmares and lack of data, erroneous data as well. And most importantly, poor investments in AI and machine learning initiatives have become absolutely low, and lack of competitiveness is one of the biggest outcomes of that. Our entire solution is an augmented data management platform that quarantines bad data and potential fraud automatically for review. Machine learning to continually improve accuracy of data ingestion by up to 90%. It has a direct impact on the bottom line and can drastically improve efficiency. The Z-Score solution was envisioned to democratize data for businesses and make it seamless for them to use data without any hassle. Also, enable highly skilled technical resources to focus on higher value tasks rather than doing mundane data cleansing work. Think of a solution that can connect to any data source, understand what kind of data it is, which domain it belongs to, say insurance or banking, identify the entities within the data and the anomalies in it, pre-creates data pipelines, quarantines bad data, identifies root causes, and lets you remediate the data as well. Finally, it tells you the impact of the bad data and a currency of your choice and a way to monitor and govern it, all automated. And our experience to work with insurance companies across Australia and India has helped us build some industry-based vertical solutions to solve key data challenges in certain areas. We will soon be launching capabilities for other industries such as manufacturing and banking as well. The Zscore solution has been used by companies worldwide and fits into the digital strategy as data is a key component. We've also been privileged to work with some of the leading companies and have been recognized globally as well. We are also been happy to work with a lot of companies and give them more than $35 million in business impact. And we have a 100% lead to a prospect ratio, which means that all of our demos have always converted to a POC. Today, we are looking to engage with companies to showcase immediate savings and value to them from their data through proof of concepts and pilots. Thank you for the opportunity and happy to take more questions.
Awesome. Well done, Dilip. If you want to go ahead and stop sharing your screen, you've made up some time for extra Q&A. I'll open it up to the group for questions.
Great. Thank you. Look, good pitch. Thanks very much for taking us through that. The data management is a real challenge. I think everyone understands is a great opportunity, but actually accessing and executing on that opportunity is part of the challenge. You mentioned about the data cleaning, which for large organizations such as ours is a significant part of the problem. I'm also conscious that a lot of the issues are different for each organization based on the systems, and there's a lot of complexity in there as well. Is your solution customizable for these larger organizations, or have you developed a platform which the organizations are needing to kind of feed data into for it to be effective?
So what we've done is the uniqueness of our product is actually based on the fact that we've understood that data is actually very unique. Data issues are very unique to the industry and to the organization as well. So what we've done is we've built something called a unified data model, wherein we've gone and built these industry-based verticalized solutions that is it addresses common problems. And top of it, what we have is the capability to go and customize to specific data issues for each and every company. And this could be machine learning, or it could be typical regular data quality issues, or handling frauds or anything of that sort. So it is customizable in a very, very interesting way, wherein we don't have to go and write code specifically for you. You don't have to write code. You can just click and point and choose data recipes of your choice, and you can build it to solve your own problems.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Hi, Dilip. Thanks for that presentation. My question is with regards to data privacy and data protection. Of course, as you know, we're in this environment now where a lot of banks and regulators are talking about open banking, and there's a lot of focus on data privacy, especially with identifiable data. So how do you actually manage that, and how do you store and access data and delete data?
So couple of things. First is our product works predominantly, we are on cloud and on premise as well. So for companies which are very, 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 particular about data security, we typically go and work within their premise, whether it is a hybrid cloud or it's a private cloud, or whether it is on premise, like physically on premise. So at that point in time, we really have to be, we don't really have to be concerned too much about data, because we are within the company's network and the data remains very secure. When we go to a public cloud where we access data, we follow all the different, regulatory compliances, such as GDPR or consumer data rights and everything. So that, and we have specific data recipes which go and mask or encrypt any PII information about customers. And we have a very interesting audit method which actually goes and looks at data and automatically tells the customer that there's a data that has been existing for this long. Do you want to go ahead in archiving it or deleting it from the database? So that's how we constantly monitor it.
Awesome. Any other judges have any questions they want to throw Dilip's way?
Yeah, I'll have a question, Brian. So Dilip, the companies you're already working with, and then the pipeline is actually quite a few global companies there. How are you accessing that? Because the challenge here is, I guess, you need to scale up and get quite a significant client base. So how do you identify them? How do you go after them, access them, and make sure you can scale that?
Right now, given our company size and everything, we do it word of mouth. Trade missions like this have helped us a lot because we've been out there and we built a brand based on word of mouth. So that helps us in going and talking to companies. And the most important, like I'd mentioned, we have 100% demo to a POC conversion rate, primarily because the problem that we are addressing right now is extremely important, especially post-COVID, when organizations are speeding up their digital transformation or digital strategy processes. The need for working with good quality data is extremely important. So, and the fact that we are actually the world's first automated data quality solution. And we've automated data quality, and we've been relatively successful in that to a large extent. And so that has given us a lot of word of mouth, and the fact that we've been building this verticalized solution specifically for insurance, specifically for manufacturing.
So sorry, I've got to interrupt because I've got to move to the next team, but I want to thank you so much for joining us here on the panel and for pitching to us. I really appreciate it. Hello, Pencil team. Can you see us and hear us okay?
We can hear. We can see and hear.
Fantastic. Can you guys go ahead and share your screen? With all those plants in the background, you guys must be breathing good. All right. Whenever you guys are ready, go ahead and take it away.
Hi, everyone. There's different types of business credit. There's banks and smaller lenders, but 40% of all private sector credit liabilities come from suppliers. This credit is invisible, unsecured, and interest-free, and without it, the music stops. This is known simply as net terms or trade credit. Despite its size, innovation has been completely forgotten. Origination and underwriting, collections and payments are all very difficult when they're not your core business. Everyone, I'm Tim Demetriou, the CEO and co-founder of PencilPay, a plug-and-play trade credit system that helps both buyers and sellers grow together with confidence. I scale the customers, and my co-founder, Greg Armstrong, scales the tech, like he's done for multi-billion-dollar companies before. One of our customers who uses the tech is Darren. He's the operations manager for a phone accessory supplier, whose turnover is just over 20 million. He services the major telcos, phone repair shops, and resellers. Darren came on board and integrated his accounting and inventory platforms. Our integration partners include platforms like Xero, MyOb Advanced, and QuickBooks, and inventory systems like Deer and Unleashed. In 60 seconds, he configures his settings and uses a line of our code to put a branded origination and customer portal on his website. New and existing customers then register their account, apply for credit, and save their payment method in under 60 seconds. Darren sees the application come through and needs to know a few things. Who do I give trade credit to, how much, and for how long? Our integrations aggregate and anonymize data across all of our suppliers. This feeds our predictive algorithm, supporting better credit decisions in real time. Once Darren approves the account, the back office efficiencies begin. The customer data feeds into his accounting and inventory, cutting down processing time, and our KYC and AML processes decrease fraud and risk by creating a digital identity for each account. Now, here's some examples of some use cases. Now that the account holder has been approved, they can view and pay invoices, place an order, or set up payments for approval across multiple suppliers in just a few clicks. And from a supplier's perspective, an order is placed, invoice raised, payment processed, warehouse notified, picked, packed, and shipped in under 60 seconds without any supplier interaction. Or customers can buy goods on account and pay by installments, deposit and balance, or based on any trading term. Like a good athlete, Pencil is fast and flexible. Over the last 6 months, we've grown our suppliers by 300%, our accounts by 1,200%, and payments turnover by 900%. And to keep this up, we're looking for three things. Firstly, tech partners to recommend Pencil to their clients who need help with streamlining accounts. Secondly, payments partners who can support better rates and faster settlement times. And lastly, financial partners to raise a debt fund. Suppliers still need to assess risk, get an agreement in place, hold security, and get paid for what they supply. What they really need is one streamlined, consolidated system so they can serve customers like a supplier with the infrastructure of a lender. Thank you.
Well done, Tim. Go ahead and stop sharing your screen. And what we'll do next is open it up for the judges to ask you any questions that they've got. Judges.
Yeah, maybe I'll go first. Thanks for that, Greg. Quite really interesting business proposition. So, the challenge for small companies is in providing credit is, there's the automation aspect of what you talk about, but there's also the challenge of you don't know enough about your counterparty. And I see you mentioned the credit bureau. Can you talk a bit more about any, suggested trade terms or, automatic warnings as your government sort of data feeds suggest there might be an issue, or there's something else that's been, other securities registered or litigation's been recorded?
Yeah, of course. So one thing that we do have is a number of partnerships. Now, those partnerships are integration partnerships. We've got an integration partnership with Equifax. So we've got a direct API through to them where we can push and pull information, and also the company lookup, which allows us to obviously get all the company information. On top of that, what we do is we actually aggregate all the data from across multiple suppliers. So what that does is it gives us a really nice view on and allows us to provide a score, a unique score based on the payment history, as well as identify the invisible trade credit outstanding with other suppliers. So I guess the core of it is that we provide this information to the customers, so to the suppliers as their customers are applying, which allows them to make a really fast decision. And we are building a machine learning AI predictive engine as well, which we've been feeding for around about 3 or 4 months now.
Awesome. Any other questions for the Pencil team?
Yeah, sure. Look, I think it's really interesting.
Sorry, I've lost you there.
And I gather that, hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi, sorry, can you hear me?
That one.
Sure. So I gather that the more scaled your kind of ecosystem is, the more value you'd be adding to it. So is your path to scaling via integrations with existing platforms such as Xero? So I suppose your direct client is another platform provider, and the end client's accessing your services via that, or are you more going kind of direct to clients as a scale-up approach?
Yeah, so I guess the short answer is both, but the long answer is that we partner with cloud integrators, accountants, bookkeepers, software partners. So the education phase is probably the key area that we need to focus on. We get a few customers just by going direct to market ourselves, but the vast majority is referrals from those ones that I mentioned. An example of where we've had some success, I guess, is a partner that we've had for over a year who just in the last month has actually given us about 15 referrals. Prior to that, they gave us very little. Obviously, with the COVID, the fact that we're coming out of COVID, it allows us to, it allows those guys to refer us a lot more customers. And that's just one example of about 20 odd referral partners that we've got.
Awesome.
Makes sense.
Thank you so much, Tim. Thank you so much, Pencil team. Giving you a big round of applause. I appreciate your time. And like everybody, I'm going to send you back. Now, folks, we think we fixed this in the background. So we are going to go back to Lee from Easy Monitor here as soon as I find her. So bringing Lee back. And Lee, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. And Oscar, can you share your screen, please? Perfect. Well, whenever you're ready, just let him know and he'll move to the next slide. I'll let you take it away.
Hello, my name is Leah News. I'm the founding managing director of Easy Monitor, and I'm so proud to present our solution and vision for back office compliance efficiencies today. Next slide. We have an experienced team that came together with ideas to solve a really big problem. Next slide. Continued company growth requires a trusted reputation with efficient risk management. We've seen multi-million-dollar companies plummet due to inefficiencies and poor compliance culture. The roadblock is the escalated rate of compliance change. Organizations' people are often crippled with compliance overwhelm in data proofing and movement. While manual work is being replaced by systems, now we have too many systems that require manual analysis to detect trends. Meanwhile, costs and risks are soaring. Next slide. Audit checks alone are far too reactive, detecting after the damage is already done. Technology can mitigate this, allowing reputations to be preserved before growing into bigger problems. Next slide. Easy Monitor is a SaaS platform to ease the overhead burden of managing compliant risk and document recall and the people that implement it. Importantly, Easy Monitor's purpose is to verify, detect, and notify compliance breakdowns. Next slide. Efficiency lift is a key element of Easy Monitor's value. We cannot change compliance regulation, but we can change how you do it and reveal with pinpoint accuracy where compliance breakdowns are occurring. Proactive detection is the key. This is what is lacking in market, and this is the power and value that Easy Monitor delivers. Next slide. Compared to global markets, Australia is relatively small, but there is opportunity within all major industries. This extends exponentially on a global scale, particularly in countries fostering a compliance culture. Traction has been achieved in the financial advice sector, and we're gaining momentum with global brands like MetLife, Iris, Avant Health. We've even gained investment from AWS and Australian government grants. Existing solutions solve one problem, leaving subscribers to bridge gaps between multiple systems. Easy Monitor provides one place to interact, track, and monitor with no gaps to bridge as one source of verified truth. Next slide. Our revenue structure is priced at $10 per week for individuals and customized pricing for corporate subscribers. We're looking for new clients wanting to build efficient back office in a highly regulated space. Thank you for listening. Our contact details are here. Does anyone have any questions?
Excellent. Oscar, go ahead and stop sharing. Lee, thanks for going through the hurdles with us on that. Appreciate it. Judges, I'm going to open it up to you for questions.
Hi, thank you very much for your presentation. Could you just perhaps run us through a use case, and we'll do a nice easy one for me. What would you provide to a bank in terms of being able to streamline your monitoring and compliance function?
Well, first of all, we'd conduct a business analysis of what your requirements are in terms of what are you trying to detect? What problem are you specifically trying to solve? And then we would implement our back office systems to ensure that these systems replicate yours.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Lee. Anybody else have any questions for the Easy Monitor team? All right. Lee, with just a couple seconds left on the time, do you have any final things you'd like to say to the judges?
Thanks for your time.
All right. Thank you so much, Lee. I'm going to move you back into the group, and we're going to go back to our final team, folks. I'm going to give John and TickPay one last shot here. And we will go from there. So do that. And then John, before you share your screens, I can see you. I can hear you.
That's fantastic.
Excellent. Can you go ahead and share your screen, please?
Yes, I'm just about to do that. 1 second, please.
Mm-hmm. Looks good. I can see it.
Can you hear me, everybody?
And you sound great. As soon as that loads, go ahead and kick off.
Cool. Hi, everyone. My name is John Sajadi. I'm one of the founders of TickPay, a payment platform, award-winning payment platform 2019 and 2020 Corp magazines just received confirmation. Our team, I'm currently working as a CTO and doing my doctorate at research and development in IoTs at Deakin University. Steve Jew is a co-founder and he's a commercial analyst and data analyst for Datacom. Jamie Collins used to own IP Payments. They sold it a few years back for $184 million. And just to name a few, why TickPay? Because we are empowering small businesses with payment on the go, we turn your device into a POS solution, very similar to Square without any extra hardware. Our online solution is one stop, and basically whatever solution you need regarding payments, we are very similar to Stripe, plus more with a few clicks. You don't need a developer. Our API is a plugin technology. We'll follow instructions within a few minutes. All these options will appear plus more, like you can pay via QR code, you can pay by Bitcoin, you can send and receive invoices via SMS, and pay your bills by BPay. And where the idea is to remove the old technologies and replace it with something modern and sleek that is good for our environment and saves thousands of peripheral devices and is good for our future generations. So we know the market trends are going up for in-store experience and plus online solutions are roughly about $25 trillion target market. We're not just on top of the current demand, we're actually ahead of it, at least a year. We have a solution for everything. As you know, the trends are changing for restaurants. We have a solution for everything. We have an in-store. We built an in-store self-checkout system that provides a free inventory system that you can actually, you don't need to queue up anymore. And it's just, very similar to Amazon with an Apple Pay experience, but available on all platforms. I'm talking about, Alipay, Google Pay, the whole lot is in it. One-stop shop. We're also revolutionizing the e-commerce market and structuring it with a delivery system. Within a few minutes, you get your inventory system, you upload products, you choose a delivery products, and our system just dispatches on all social media for you. And on top of it, submitters is a web link and a web hook into all Google search engines, which is foundable within minutes. And it's all at transaction cost. As a value creation, we are using data monetization. Everyone a part of TickPay will make money. If a developer brings a customer, it's a blockchain technology, it's a share economy, it's a corporate model, business model. We want to be the networks of network. And what we ask is our payment specialty thinks if we can partner with a large international financial institutions, we could grow as fast as Afterpay, and we be the next WeChat for developed countries. A problem to solve is still is onboarding. We already solved the personal onboarding with Mati, which is a Californian and French company. And our developers are working with ABR, ANZ, Essex to actually solve the problem for ABN and ACN and automate that solution as a data set to put in and in actual fact, verify it automatically. Our technology is patent. We have a video, but the time is not enough. Please search it on YouTube. It's available, and in actual fact, how it works in real life.
And
thank
John,
you very much.
I want to thank you so much. I just want to make sure we went a little over on time, so I want to make sure there's time for questions. So I'll throw it over to the judges.
Thank you.
I was interested to know. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go, Shane.
Sorry, just a quick question from me, conscious there'll be other questions. I'm just interested in your technology. Is this something that you've built from scratch, or are you using a white label provider, or is there, are you partnering with someone from a technology perspective?
No, we built it ourselves. We are the world's first mobile POS solution. You can check it out. I've got a patent for it. We were the first one. Somebody came up to me and said, you know what, why ANZ Bank is using Blade Pay and why Square is using Square? And why not directly? These devices have NFC. Why not directly transact with NFC? So that inspired me. Being in research and development, I actually studied this and I pursued it further. And after a lot of attempts, we actually could directly transact with NFC. You don't need another box of a mobile phone box to put on top of it. You can actually directly, with 0.5 kilogram of weight, you can actually directly transact with it, or for that matter, Square. We turn your device into a POS solution. We were the world's first for developing a solution like this. As I mentioned, I am doing Internet of Things, building smart cities, research and development with Deakin University. So I'm always looking for something different, and especially in financial systems.
Thank you.
Thank you. I hope I answered you.
Why don't I go next? Oh, sorry. Sorry, did I interrupt someone?
No, you go.
Yeah, I was very curious about this. As you know, of course, Visa is interested in everything payments, and especially with the POS, this sounds like something right up our alley. So you mentioned that this is primarily using NFC, but you also have QR code and other form factor capabilities, and also have e-com. Could you describe a little bit all the different form factors that you can enable?
Yes, absolutely. So what we've done is we've developed for in-store checkout. It's very similar to Amazon, but gives you an Apple Pay experience. So you upload products as a seller, you upload your products. The system automatically creates a QR code. If you have more than one store, it uses your location as a front to the QR code to identify your store. If you are, say, like a big platform, and you have many stores everywhere. So how we identify the difference between the two. So the system automatically creates that for you. And in actual fact, customers can come in and scan the product or barcode according to that score. The price will pop up. They can tap their card and pay if they have their account, or the salesperson can go to them and actually tap the credit card and in actual fact take the payments. So you have two options. We can white label it for your business. So you can have it as a white label and it will work for your industry. It's your app. You can advertise it for yourself as long as you use underlying our payment solution.
Thank you.
Thank you.
John,
I hope I answered your question.
John, I want to thank you so much for your time. And with that, I'm going to send you back to the attendees. Judges, if I could have all of you turn your cameras on for this last portion as we go to the final portion of all of this. So what I'm going to do is honestly kill some time and let you submit your final scores so that I can do that. So first and foremost, while I'm doing that, I just want to thank all of the trade delegates who came through for the trade mission, who spent some time with us for the last few weeks. To our amazing ecosystem partners, Visa, ANZ, Capgemini. So happy to have all of you guys with us today. All right, judges, that's about as much time as I can vamp here. I'm going to go pull up the final scores as we announce the winner. And remember, what do you win? What is it that you're going for? The greatest online badge of all time, the Startup Bootcamp Global Victoria, Victoria to Singapore virtual trade mission, winner of the pitch competition. It's a really big deal. And with that, it's time to go to the scores. Doing this live. All right, refreshing my screen. Oof. Ooh, folks, it was extremely close with only 0.6 of a score difference between the entire group. So with only 0.6 of an overall score difference, we do have a winner, and I'm going to see if I can pull that winner up on screen, yes, I believe I've done it. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, drum roll, please. The winner is Z-Score. Dilip Murali, come off your camera. Hello, Dilip. Dilip, you're on mute. You're so excited, we can't hear you.
Thank you for selecting us today. Pleasure to present to all of you and to the other startups as well. You guys have you guys did great, and I think I was just a little bit lucky today. I had probably good breakfast. So so thank you. And like I said, I would love to get in touch with all the panelists to see how we can, if there is interest from you guys about Zscore. So thanks a lot for the opportunity, Startup Bootcamp and Victoria as well.
Thank you so much, Dilip. I hear the music playing you off, so I'm sending you back to the attendees. And I want to thank everybody again for your time. ANZ, Capgemini, Visa, thank you guys so much. Any final words from you in our last few minutes for the trade delegates or this trade mission?
Congratulations to everyone. I thought it was really well presented and a lot of great opportunities there. And I wish everyone best of luck in their future endeavors.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Shane.
Yeah, I really like the focus around RegTech, SMEs, and data, which probably are right spots for all of you to focus and share. All the
Awesome.
best.
Thanks so much, Sudhir.
Yeah, it was really awesome being part of this. Thank you so much for the opportunity. It was wonderful hearing all the pitches. And again, wish you all the best for all of your endeavors. And we'll be in touch with some of you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So folks, again, while we do have a winner, this is not about winning. It really is about connecting up ecosystems. So we'll be in touch with the ecosystem partners, trade delegates. Thank you so much for your time. I am going to wrap it up here. So